What's up? Welcome into your Daily Buckeye Blitz for Tuesday, April 30th, 2024, the last day of the month. Why did I pause there? I don't know. Weird question. Why would you ask? Anyways, hey, visit thebuckeyecast.com. Check out everything there. There's a lot to look at. Shirts, hats. You can get one of these fancy shirts here to promote the show. Hey, that'd be nice of you. You can also you support the show also. All the money that goes to selling the shirts and hats and everything goes right back into the show. We try and market the show, publicize the show, and you guys really help by picking up a shirt, a hat, whatever, joining the video vault. It all helps. So, and you know what you can do that is absolutely free? Very simple. If you're watching this video or listening on podcasts, all you have to do is hit like, subscribe. It's all free. It doesn't cost you a dime. If you're listening on podcasts, follow the show, subscribe to the show, whatever app you're using. And hey, a 5-star review would go a long way. And I would say thank you personally. So anyways, let's get into it today. We're doing our post-spring position group breakdown. Today we're talking running backs. We're going to go through the depth chart here. We're going to talk about what we expected going in, what we saw in the spring game, and what's our expectation coming out and going forward. So we're going to talk about some snap counts and some stats here for the returning guys. So let's get into it. Right off the top, depth chart, you know what it is. TreVeyon Henderson, your senior, returning for one more year in the scarlet and gray. Quinshon Judkins, the transfer from Ole Miss, the monster. Give him the ball. Give him the damn ball. He's a junior. He'll be a junior this year. So does have NFL possibilities in his future after this year. Then you got James Peoples, true freshman. Looked good in the spring game. Sam Williams-Dixon also looked good in the spring game. True freshman. Then you got the third-year guy, redshirt sophomore, T.C. Caffey, the walk-on, still not with a scholarship, though. So snap counts for Trey and Quinshon. These guys, especially Quinshon, he's just a workhorse, man. Trey, in 3 seasons as a Buckeye, has put up 445 rushing attempts. Quinshon, 546 in just 2 years. He has 100 more rushing attempts than Trey in just 2 years. Wow. So last year, Trey put up, what do you have here? 925 yards rushing, 11 touchdowns. Had that big 23 runs of 10-plus yards. Legit. His forced missed tackles were up to 29. He's running really strongly. He had 14 carries over 15 yards. So yeah, a really strong season for Trey. He graded out a 90 in the running game according to PFF, and looked amazing. So then you had his receiving. He had 19 catches for 229, no touchdowns. He lined up in the slot a few times, 11 times actually, of the 19, but looked good. He's always a threat. You gotta use him more in the passing game, and I think we're going to see more of that this year from Trey. He had 6 forced missed tackles just in the pass game. See what he forces those missed tackles because you get him out there in space with the ball. You don't know what the hell he's going to do if you're a defender. And usually he's running by you, putting you on your back with a stiff arm or something. So pass blocking, he really jumped up last year. He had a 70.3 on the season. That's legit. Remember, 60 is doing your job. He did really well. He was a 45 in 2022, and in 2021 he was a 72. So solid year from the pass blocking point of view. Then let's look at Quinshon, what he did at Ole Miss last year. Again, 271 rushing attempts, Jesus Christ. A 4.3 average, 1,159 yards, 15 TDs, no fumbles, goose egg on the fumbles. Forced missed tackles, 78. I just told you that Trey had what, 29 or something? 78 forced missed tackles, dude. That's insane. Nuts. 39 runs of over 10 yards and 15 over 15 yards. Dude is a beast. 73 first downs. His yards after contact are insane. 3.2 yards per carry, yards after contact, 871 total yards after contact. That's like almost 3/4 of his rushing yards. Receiving, they didn't use him a lot. 22 catches, 149, 2 touchdowns. So solid there. He lined up in the slot most of the time when they used him the backfield. Pass blocking, though, needs to improve. That's going to be an issue with Coach Locke. I can see it now. He was a 43 last year at Ole Miss, and his freshman year, he was a 48. So you got to get up over 60, man. So continuing on here. So talking about the room in college football, there aren't any running back rooms or running backs with over 2,500 rushing yards. And the Buckeyes have 2 of them. Career rushing yards. Buckeyes have 2 running backs with over 2,500 yards career. So Trey and Quinshon give Ohio State the best backfield in the country. But behind them is a big question mark. It's kind of another top-heavy position group, right? You got big-time talent at the top and then no experience down there below. So you got true freshman James Peoples and Sam Williams-Dixon. They enrolled early, been here since January. Then you got the walk-on, T.C. Caffey, coming into his 3rd year at Ohio State. Caffey, though, only has 66 career rushing yards in games, and 49 of those yards came in one play against Toledo in 2022. So the expectations were that the Ole Miss transfer, Quinshon Judkins, would get comfortable. Plus, they would get reps for Dallin Hayden, when he was here. That would give Trey an easier spring camp where he didn't really need to get a lot of reps. And then true freshmen, Peoples and SWD were also expected to get reps, right? So after spring, Quinshon integrated well into the position group, no problems. TreVeyon was a leader that they needed for that group, for that room, and used his senior leadership and really grew. Dallin Hayden left the team right before the spring game. SWD and Peoples got plenty of snaps, and both really look like they're going to contribute this season. If you look at the snap counts from the spring game, while we're talking about them, Peoples had 31, led the way of all running backs. T.C. Caffey, 30. Sam Williams-Dixon, 27. So obviously you wanted to get them more carries, especially in the second half. You didn't need to use up Trey and Quinshon. But People's shiftiness and his burst of speed is what really caught my eye and what I'm watching, when I see. He picked up 40 yards and a touchdown on 10 carries, added 3 receptions for 23 yards. Sam Williams-Dixon had the biggest day of all the running backs. He had 78 yards on 11 carries and a 22-yard touchdown on an inside zone play. So the expectations, I would call this an unexpectation, because Benedict Alford left during camp 2 practices in. Then Dallin Hayden entered the portal and popped out in Colorado. It's like some weird hot tub time machine situation there. I don't know. Anyways, the questions. Ryan Day wants 5 scholarships on the roster. Right now, that number is just 4. So they believe T.C. Caffey's not a regular walk-on. They like him, but will they use a scholarship on somebody else and continue to keep him at a walk-on status? If they don't go into the portal for a fifth running back, maybe they give Caffey that scholarship. And I put my hand up and I vote for scholarship for TC Caffey. I'm not sure you're going to find somebody in the portal that is equally or better than TCC. So now what? Going forward, the offensive staff is going to have to dive into the film from last year, see what worked and what didn't in the running game. They can begin putting together the pieces of a ground attack, and then how can Chip Kelly use TreVeyon and Quinshon maybe together? Maybe what are their specialties when they're on the field by themselves? So, and how much can James Peoples and Sam Williams-Dixon be used this season? You know, how many reps can we plan on? And when can we get them in? You know, and then is TC Caffey a real option or not? You know, in 2023, the running backs for Ohio State combined for 329 carries. So that's 25.3 per game, just running backs. Doesn't include a Mecca on the jet sweeps or the end arounds or anything. In 2024, that calculates out to 405 carries in 16 games if we use that 25.3 per game. So we've got over 400 carries we need to spread around to 4, possibly 5 guys, barring injury, obviously. So the concerns are health, always. TreVeyon hasn't been healthy for an entire season since he was a freshman back in 2021. So in the last 2 years, he's missed games with injuries. So we shouldn't be surprised if he misses time this year. Maybe just, you know, kind of load management, giving him a week off to rest, recuperate, not necessarily because he's injured. And then if Trey's out, then everybody moves up a spot in the depth chart, right? And then behind Quinshon, Judkins, there are 2 freshmen and a walk-on. You know, when you think about it that way, if you're Ryan Day, you have to wonder, are you okay with that going into a season? Again, depth being important. So was James Peoples going to pass by Dallin Hayden by week 1? There are no guarantees that Hayden was going to see more reps. Peoples is one of the best backs in 2024 class, and he backed it up on the field in the spring game, in my opinion. In tackling, they were tackling at that point. So Quinshon Judkins talked about why he wanted to come to Ohio State after being a star at Ole Miss. He said, quote, "I've done some great things at Ole Miss. I've learned a lot, but I think just for me in my 3rd year, you want to be somewhere like Ohio State with great culture, great teammates, great coaches, and the best players, the best fan base. You want to win it." So looking for rings, and everybody is in 2024 with the Buckeyes. Chip Kelly had a couple of quotes here to close this out. He said he was impressed with James Peoples this spring. Quote, "James really flashed early for me. I think James has got really good feel and vision, and he can hit things." He also talked about Sam Williams-Dixon and TC Caffey. He said, quote, "I thought Sam did some really good things today." This is after the spring game. Quote, "TC is another guy who really came along during the spring, and we're constantly talking in our staff meetings about depth. We're very cognizant of the fact that the playoff situation has changed, so you have to develop that depth. It used to be maybe you have a pair and a spare, but I think you have to have more than that." Exactly. You got to have at least 3 guys that you can plug into the game and you don't lose anything. So, and shit, maybe 4 or 5 now. So let's see how this running game shakes out. It's going to be interesting. And let's get these young guys in there. Play the young guys early, please, for the love of God. All right. That's all I got for you today. Talk to you tomorrow. Go Bucks.